Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Line Unbroken, Preston style playthrough series of the Lord of the Rings card game. I'm playing the Nightmare version of Over the Misty Mountains of Rim, the second quest from the first Hobbit box. So, both decks have pretty decent opening hands. This one in particular, Light of Arnor and Resourceful, are the two things that I'm looking for in my opening hand. On this side, it would be nice to have King Under the Mountain, but the weapon and foe hammer is still reasonable, though it's unlikely to be particularly relevant for a little while. Now, the Nightmare card here says, when resolving the when revealed effect of stage 3B, no more than X resources may be spent from Bilbo Baggins' resource pool, where X is the number of players in the game. Otherwise, the setup is unchanged. Two separate encounter decks, one for the outside of the mountains and one for the inside of the mountains. After a refreshing stay in the House of Elrond, Bilbo and his companions resumed their quest for the Lonely Mountain. But to reach Erebor, they first had to climb the high pass over the Misty Mountains. Each player may search his deck for one treasure card, note to his hand, then shuffle his deck. I do not have any treasure cards, as I did not find them in We Must Away. I possibly could have done, but I couldn't be bothered to continue playing the quest at that point. When he peeped out in the lightning flashes, he saw that across the valley the stone giants were out and were hurling rocks at one another for a game, and catching them and tossing them down into the darkness where they smashed among the trees far below, or splintered into little bits with a bang. Search the encounter deck for one copy of Stone Giant and add it to the staging area. It is already here. Then shuffle the encounter deck, reveal one card per player from the encounter deck and add it to the staging area. I'm just going to state up front that if no campfire is revealed, I will reset the encounter deck and try again. There might be other cards or other combinations of cards which would also prompt a reset, but as with We Must Away, no campfire is the particular one because it would raise my threat. I don't really want to take the option where I reveal extra cards, and raising my threat would potentially push this deck out of secrecy since it starts at 18. Galloping Boulders. This is actually not so bad during setup. First player chooses a questing character. We are not questing during setup. However, there is at least one stone giant in the staging area, so it gains Surge. Lightning Splinters. Each player must choose and discard 3 cards from his hand. Each player assigns X damage among characters he controls, where X is the combined printed cost of the cards he discarded. Well, that's annoying. I mean, I guess this deck is just going to discard the 3 0 cost cards. Not particularly because they cost 0, but because I really want to hold on to the other cards. Over here, I will definitely want to hold on to the Blade of Gondolin, Foe Hammer. Gandalf costs a lot, so that would be a lot of damage, so I guess we do it like this, and that's 5 damage to assign. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Narrow Ledge. Well, it's the active location. Each player cannot commit more than 3 characters to the quest. Okay. Yeah, that's correct. Galloping Bolt was surged, so I have revealed the correct number of cards. Control N. Alright. So let's pay 1 for the Westfold Horse Breeder. Search the top 10 cards of my deck for a mount. No mounts. In that case, there's no need for me to be saving resources on Pippin, so he will pay for the resourceful on Frodo, and also put Light of Arnor onto Glorfindel. Over here, I will not be playing anything. There is 8 threat in the staging area. That's quest 1, 3, 4, 7, 10, 11. I think is as good as I can do. I want to hold back Frodo just in case I end up engaging this stone giant. I would rather not engage the stone giant, but it's a possibility, so I have to be prepared. Dim Valley. Okay, that's annoying. But, okay, Dim Valley and Dim Valley. Right. Well, that has added 6 threat to the staging area. I lose the quest by 4. Well, by 3. So, since I'm out of secrecy anyway, I could consider engaging the stone giant. Just to have the threat out of the staging area. But don't know how much it would really help. I will travel to one of the dim valleys. Well, I mean, obviously it would help just to have the threat out of the staging area. So maybe I should go for it, since the threat is clearly a problem. Okay, so if I engage the stone giant, oh, that's I will actually not trigger Pippin's ability, simply because there are 2 dim valleys in play. So at the end of the round I will be forced to discard 2 cards from my hand. And at the moment I only have 1, so there's no point in drawing another card just to discard it. I have to discard the Westfold Horsebreeder while engaging the Stone Giant. With a shadow card. Frodo defends. Shuffle copies of Galloping Boulders. Discard pile back into the encounter deck. So there it goes. And obviously I take 4 threat. Rather than the damage. Attack for 6. Do 3 damage. Discard the shadow card. Bilbo crosses the table. The random discards from the Dim Valley happen, of course. Discarding this Northern Tracker, and here, random discard Gandalf and random discard Foehammer. And Control in. Yes, Test of Will. I'm glad that I did not draw that with Pippin, as I would have been forced to discard it. Now, of course, here we have this action. Exhaust Bilbo Baggins and spend 1 Baggins resource to place 5 progress on Dim Valley. I definitely want to make use of this, as it will clear the Dim Valleys somewhat faster than just trying to deal with them normally. Given the random discards, maybe I do want to play the Blade of Gondolin right now, to be sure that I don't lose it. And I guess that's all I'm playing. There is 7 threat in the staging area, so let's quest 2, 5, 8, 9. Stone Giant. Just take the damage. And Galloping Boulders, which I cancel, but now there is a Stone Giant in the staging area, so I reveal another card, Dim Valley. So that's up to 14 threat in the staging area. I'm pretty sure that I'm just screwed at this point, so I'm just going to reset quest and start again. Alright, so back to this point. I mulliganed this hand looking for... Well, I didn't have King of the Mountain, I didn't have Foe Hammer or a decent weapon. Still don't have any of those things, but this is an improvement, I think. The Hobbit Cloak is potentially pretty useful. The combination of the Gondorian Spearman and the Spear of the Citadel will be useful when I'm advancing to stage 3 of the quest, and Sneak Attack Gandalf right from the start is definitely good. Over here, I'm just debating my mulligan or not. I don't have Light of Valinor, I do have Resourceful, and I do have Asphalloth, which could be significant early on. So, I think I'm going to stick with this hand. And so I'm up to the reveal effect on the quest card. Another Stone Giant, and okay, I'm just resetting the encounter deck here. The second Stone Giant is already almost cause for a reset. But no campfire is... I mentioned that as potentially causing a reset. The thing is with the Stone Giant, you could compare this quest somewhat to Journey Down the Anduin, where you have this big enemy in the staging area that you don't want to engage before you're ready for it. Even higher engagement cost than the Hill Job, quite noticeably at 40 rather than 30. But this is really worse because the effect where after the Stone Giant engages a player, you have to discard an ally, and while it's in the staging area, Galloping Boulders gains Surge. So there isn't really... It's a no-win situation, and it's 4 threat as well, whereas the Hill Troll was only 1. That I find particularly unfair in this precise context of just the setup, where the Hill Troll is 1 threat added on to the 2. Well, you reveal a card for each player in the game. So 2 players, 2 cards. This is the case for both Anduin and Misty Mountains. But in Anduin, you reveal 2 cards and then add a Hill Troll, which is 1 threat. Here you have 4 threat, which, I mean, that's already not an unreasonable amount of starting threat for a 2-player game. And then you reveal 2 more cards. No. No. Okay. Crow and Dim Valley. I can deal with this. I apologize a little bit for the multiple resets, but honestly not that much. Because it is just a bit ridiculous what this quest can do. I'm going to play this Daron's Runes right away. I'll discard one of my 3 Dwarven Tombs. And, okay, so I'm going to put Resourceful onto Frodo. And play the West Road Traveller immediately. For more willpower, I want to play this Sneak Attack Gandalf. I also kind of want to play the Hobbit Cloak, but I suppose the Hobbit Cloak can wait. I will play the Gondorian Spearman immediately. Now, it's 4, 5, 8 threat in the staging area. So let's Sneak Attack Gandalf. And at this early stage in the game, I think I want to draw cards. Okay. So we quest for 1, 3, 6, 8. Where's my correct Golden Doll? 11, 12, 16. This is better. More like a grossly discard all Baggins resources. I already spent the Baggins resource. There's my head. Narrow ledge, 4 threat. This is okay. I make 4 progress. Travel to the Dim Valley as I want it gone as fast as possible. And now this deck will engage the Suspicious Crow. I draw a card for Pippin. Okay. Frodo will defend. Obviously, I could defend with the Gondorian Spearman, which would immediately kill the Crow, but I would actually rather use Legolas to get the kill, as this will put 2 progress onto the Dim Valley. I suppose I could have actually done this with the Narrow Ledge, and then in combination with Asphalot, that would fully explore the Narrow Ledge. On the other hand, the Dim Valley is the location that I really want to get rid of, so getting as much progress on as I can is a good idea. So, is random discard. Gandalf has been back in my hand for a while, obviously. Okay, I lost my Foe Hammer, and another Dwarven 2. Not so bad. Bilbo crosses the table, Control N. Add an extra resource from Resourceful. Now, it would be great if I had some way to give more resources to Sam, but I don't. So, let's see, Spear of the Citadel would be useful. That's the only thing I can really think of to play with my tactics resources, but I might just hold back in case more things get discarded. Now Sam could play the Hobbit Cloak onto Frodo. He could also play the Snowborn Scout, which in combination with Asphalot would explore the Narrow Ledge. Or he could save up so that I can get King of the Mountain next round. I'm going to... Actually no, I'm not going to trigger the action on Dim Valley yet. I will see how my questing goes before making that decision. But yeah, I think I really need this staging area under control, so I'm going to play the Snowborn Scout and put progress on the Narrow Ledge. Over here, of course, I play Asphalot onto Glorfindel, and otherwise I save my resources. So there's 8 threat in the staging area. That's 2, 4, 7, 10, 11. Then reveal Galloping Boulders. 3 damage to a questing character and they're removed from the quest. Let's do that to Thalin. Reducing their willpower by 1, and this surges because it's Stone Giant into another Galloping Boulders. Okay, this one I'm going to cancel. It still surges into a Suspicious Crow, which is not killed by Thalin because I removed him from the quest, and which reveals Galloping Boulders again, and causes me to reset the game again, I think, because, okay, so I'll go at least to the end of this staging. The Galloping Boulders, I can either damage Glorfindel and remove him, or kill the West Road Traveller. So let's remove Glorfindel. I'm down to 7 willpower, and Galloping Boulders surges again. This is ridiculous. that you can get multiple surges on multiple galloping boulders from the Stone Giant. Guffawing of Giants. The first player chooses one Stone Giant in the staging area. At the end of the quest phase, that Stone Giant engages the player with the highest threat. There are no Stone Giants. So, this Stone Giant will be engaging this deck. And, okay, so that was all the first card of staging. Because Galloping Boulders surged into Galloping Boulders, which surged into a Suspicious Crow, which revealed Galloping Boulders, which surged into Guffawing of Giants. So, second card of staging is no Campfire. Dude 1. And then each player must either raise their threat by 4 or reveal another card, so... Well, following all of that, I can use Asphalloth to explore the narrow ledge, reducing the threat in the staging area to 4. I can trigger the action on the dim valley, and I make 3 progress, exploring the dim valley. So, there are upsides to how this has gone. At the end of the quest phase, because of the Falling with Giants, the Stone Giant engages the player with the highest threat. This readies Sam, and causes me to discard the Snowborn Scout. I will also engage this Suspicious Crow, which still allows this deck to draw a card for Pippin because its engagement cost is increased by 2 to 27 by Pippin. Well, maybe this is not quite as lost as I was thinking, though it's still fairly ridiculous. Now, of course I have to defend the Stone Giant. I do not have a Feint in hand, so... Well, I do not have a sneak attack either to let Gandalf do it, so I'm going to have to throw this Spearman under the bus. Frodo defends against the Crow. And once again, I will have Legolas kill the Crow and get more progress on the quest. I might be able to just quest through this stage and get away from the Stone Giants so I can be killed by goblins instead. Control N. Another sneak attack is certainly very welcome. I could really do with another resource on Pippin. Obviously there's no way for me to get that. Let's play this Deep Knowledge. Draw some more cards. Okay, so that Fast Hitch would also be useful. But I really kind of want the Warden of Healing. Well, actually, I suppose, other than the possibility of getting Galloping Boulders again, which, by the way, draw them 2 to bring back a Test of Will from my discard pile, yeah, other than the risk of Galloping Boulders, there aren't obvious ways that the heroes currently damaged can take more damage, so in fact I will play this Fast Hitch onto Frodo. And that'll be it. On this side, I play Build a Pony for free. And I guess that's it. So, no threat in the staging area. Quest for 1, 3, 5, 7, 10. 11, 12. I need 10 progress to advance. I'm up to 13 willpower. I should send more than that, really. So I guess we will go with Glorfindel as well. So 16. Wind Whipped Rain. I like my attachments, so I will cancel this. Galloping Boulders. Okay. I can put the damage on Frodo and take it as a threat, or I can kill my West Road Traveller, or I can kill Bill the Pony. I mean, all of these are valid options. Oh, actually, because Bill the Pony is in play, I could put damage on, say, Bilbo. Yeah, let's do that. I reduce willpower by 1. It does not have Surge because the Stone Giant is not in the staging area, so this is fine. And it turns out I would have been fine not to quest with Glorfindel and have him available for combat, but obviously I couldn't know that. Outjump the goblins, big goblins, great ugly looking goblins, lots of goblins, before you could say rocks and blocks. Shuffle all encounter cards back into the encounter deck and set it aside inactive. The second encounter deck becomes the active encounter deck. So here is the second encounter deck. Swap with encounter deck. There we go. Search the encounter deck for the Great Goblin, and then add it to the staging area, then shuffle the encounter deck. So we have the Nightmare version of the Great Goblin here. And okay, players cannot defeat the stage unless the Great Goblin is in the victory display. Also, that's actually irrelevant now, because the Nightmare version of the Great Goblin says progress cannot be placed on the current quest. So we have to kill the Great Goblin before we can make any progress at all. Forced when the Great Goblin attacks, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If it is a Goblin enemy, put it into play, engage with the defending player, and deal it a shadow card. And when revealed, reveal 3 encounter cards per player. Bilbo Baggins may spend X resources to reduce the total number of encounter cards revealed by X to a minimum of 1. But at this point, no more than X resources may be spent, where X is the number of players in the game. So I can only spend up to 2 resources. Since I only have 1, this is a moot point. I spend 1 resource, and I still have to reveal 5 encounter cards. So, 1. Okay. 2. Goblin Runners. Search. Goblin Prowler. 3. Grip, Grab, Pinch, Nab. Starting with the first player, each player must choose 1 goblin enemy from the discard pile and add it to the staging area. The discard pile is empty, so this actually does nothing. 4. Great Cavern Run. 5. Each player must assign damage among characters he controls equal to the total number of goblin enemies engaged with him and in the staging area. There are no goblin enemies engaged with players. There are 3 in the staging area, so let's go 1, 2, 3, and we'll go. Let's take advantage of the extra hit points from Bill the Pony. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this could have been much worse. Now, I definitely don't want to travel to the front porch, as I would quite like to be able to attack goblin enemies. The Great Cavern Room. While it's the active location, after a player engages a goblin enemy, he must deal 1 damage to a character he controls. And yeah, I'm not overly keen on traveling to either of those. Let's see, I'll definitely Asphalot at the front porch. Let's see, I do not have Feint or anything. Ah, I do have Hands Upon the Bow. Ah! Okay, no, I will not Asphalot the front porch. I will Asphalot... oh, no. No, I will Asphalot the front porch. I will then travel to the front porch, and I will then play Hands Upon the Bow. So Legolas will attack these goblin runners, killing them and placing 2 progress on the front porch. So it's explored. Now, I have to engage the Great Goblin. There's no way around that. Its engagement cost, even with Pippin, and with Bilbo being on the same side as Pippin, is 18. So it's just a question of where I want it engaged. Probably with this deck, actually. I can just sneak attack Gandalf to defend it, although that will leave a question of how I defend it next round, possibly with Gandalf again. We'll go with that as an idea. Engage the Great Goblin over here. Shadow card. And now... looks like I'm just never going to play King of the Mountain. Sneak attack Gandalf. Drop my threat by 5. And Gandalf will defend. Now, when the Great Goblin attacks, discard the top card of the encounter deck. It is a Goblin enemy, so it comes into play engaged with this player, which readies Sam, and is dealt a shadow card. Attacking enemy gets +1 attack, 7 attack, Gandalf still lives. Not that it matters that much. And Sam will defend against the Goblin Driver. +1 attack, he takes 1 damage. That's all I can do. Gandalf returns to my hand. Shadow cards are discarded. Bilbo crosses the table. And we control N. So now it would be really nice if I could play the Warden Healing, but I can't. Envoy of Pelargir here. Unfortunately, the Envoy can only add resources to Nobles and Gondor heroes, which does not include either Sam or Pippin, who are the heroes I would really like to have an extra resource on at this juncture. So, well, I need a means of dealing with the Great Goblin, first of all, which is likely to mean either Gandalf or the Envoy being used as a chump. Let's start with Gandalf, I think. Play Gandalf. Actually, I'll take one of those resources from Bilbo. And for Gandalf's ability, I'm thinking I will do the damage. I could do the damage to the Great Goblin to soften him up. I could do it to the Goblin Driver, so that I have less enemies to deal with. Or of course I could do it to the Goblin Prowler, so I have less enemies to deal with in the long run. These are all reasonable ideas. But for the moment, I think I'm just going to take out the Goblin Driver. That's all for this deck. On this side, an extra resource from Resourceful. And I'm going to play the Westfold Horsebreeder. Do not find my last copy of Asphalor. It's not that likely. And we'll also play this Northern Tracker. So there is 6 threat in the staging area. Now let's quest for 2, 4, 5, 6. Actually, let's hold back the Northern Tracker so I can potentially deal with the Prowler. So 2, 4, 5, 7. I really don't need to go too hard because, of course, I can't make progress until I kill the Great Goblin. But I'm just trying to balance that against the desire to have as much attack power available as possible to potentially deal damage to the Great Goblin. At the moment, I suppose I want to quest with Farlin regardless, because I do want to keep damaging the enemies as they turn up. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 11. Should be okay. Reveal Goblin Runners. Surge Goblin's Caves. And another Great Cavern Room. So I've added 6 threat to the staging area. I'm losing by 1. Well, nothing I can actually do about it. But this is not too bad. Alright, I don't want to go to the Goblin's Caves. That would be a bit too much threat, I think. So then the Great Cavern Room will deal some extra damage. I think I can actually manage that. So let's travel to the Great Cavern Room and use Asphalloth on the Goblin's Caves. And of course, since these Goblin Runners have turned up, I can't really deal with the Goblin Prowler at this point. So I'll just take the Runners. Deal Shadow cards. Okay, so Gandalf is defending this. That's why he's here. Takes 2 damage, and I resolve the force effect, discarding not a goblin enemy. Over here, Frodo will defend. The player raises a threat by X. X and the goblin enemies engaged with him, so 1, and 1 for Frodo's ability rather than taking the damage. And so over here, I can attack for 1, 4, 5, 1 damage to the Great Goblin. That's all I can do. I can kill the Goblin Runners. I think it's more important to start damaging the Great Goblin than to get the progress from Legolas. And Control N. Of course, Gandalf is discarded. Great. Arwen is just the card that I want right now, because this means I can make Frodo a Sentinel. And I can afford this Warden of Healing, which is also very useful. So, Arwen will be targeting Frodo unless I say otherwise. And as much as I would still like King Under the Mountain, I'm really thinking the Hobbit Cloak may be the way to go, since Frodo is my go-to defender. Although, of course, the Hobbit Cloak does not help against the Great Goblin, with his very low engagement cost. So, I will actually play King Under the Mountain at this point. Tharlin is the King Under the Mountain, so these two, and... oh... I mean, I have no decent weapons to trigger Foehammer, so... I'm going to discard Foehammer and play the Gondorian Spearman. Oh, actually, no, I'm going to play the Envoy of Pelargir, add a resource back to Legolas, and then play the Gondorian Spearman. So now, 4, 7, 9 threaten the staging area. I forgot to deal a damage when I engaged the Goblin Runners. Damage from the Great Cavern Room. We'll go on the Northern Tracker. So, what is it? 4, 7, 9 threat in the staging area. That's 2, 3, 5, 6. 6 threat in the staging area. 8, 9, 10, 13. Okay, 13. And of course Arnor is targeting Frodo, which is why he's not questing, so he can just defend twice. Reveal Dark Passages. Reveal choose a location in the staging area with a title other than Dark Passages and make it the active location. Okay, there are now 2 active locations. 2 Great Cavern Rooms are active. And the travel cost here is raise each player's threat by X, where X is the number of cave locations in the staging area. That's not going to cause me any problems. Goblin Prowler takes a damage from Tharlin. So there is now 12 threat in the staging area. Now we'll exhaust Asphalloth to put 2 progress on this Great Cavern Room and explore it. And we make 1 progress on the quest. Okay. I could engage a Goblin Prowler at this point, potentially to try and clear out the staging area a bit more. How much can I really do to the Great Goblin? 4, 5, 6 attack. I could do 2 more damage to the Great Goblin. Oh, of course, it would be nice to have the Hobbit Cloak before I start engaging these Prowlers. Though Frodo is already up to 3 defense just from Arwen, so... yeah, okay, I will engage the Goblin Prowler. This draws me a card for the Pippin, and I discard the Westfold Horsebreeder. Shadow card, and shadow card. Frodo defends this. Raise my threat by 1, so the 1 Goblin engaged with me, and another 1 for Frodo. Actually, no, I'm going to take this as... oh yes, of course. Frodo is limit once per phase, I have to remember this. So I will definitely take this one as damage. If I thought about that, then maybe I wouldn't have engaged this. Frodo will also defend against the Great Goblin. Defending player exhausts one character he controls. And that's 6 attack. So I raise my threat by 3. Now, Warden of Healing will heal Frodo and... let's go for Bilbo. Just in case something causes me to lose Bilbo Pony, I don't want to have that also kill off heroes, and in case Bilbo make me lose the game as a result. So I will now also attack with Glorfindel and Legolas to kill the Goblin Prowler, placing 2 progress in the Great Cavern Room, which is explored. Oh! The Great Goblin discarded this, which is not an enemy. I can't do any more damage to him. Bilbo crosses the table, this shadow card is gone. And Control N. Another fast hitch, useful. Rivendell Bow, also useful. Okay. So, I definitely want to play the Hobbit Cloak onto Frodo, who has an extra resource from Resourceful. But now, do I go for the Spear of the Citadel on the Spearman, which would be useful? It would allow him to just kill this Goblin Prowler by defending it. Or do I go for Blade of Gondolin plus Rivendell? Blade of Gondolin on Legolas and Rivendell Bow on Glorfindel to start getting some more damage onto the Great Goblin. I think I'm going to go for that option. And over here, I can play another fast hitch onto Frodo, who has pretty good defense against everything other than the Great Goblin in this one. Well, actually, threat is kind of high, so I'll also play this Greeting to drop the threat down to 31. 8 threat in the staging area, but I can remove the dark passages. 2, 3, 5, 7, 8. $11. And we reveal another Goblin Prowler, takes the damage, and Chaos in the Cavern. All engaged enemies return to the staging area, then each Goblin enemy gets +1 threat until the end of the phase. Well, that would add another 8 threat. So I think I should cancel that. As it is, I have added 4 threat. Now I exhaust Asphalloth to explore the dark passages, removing 4 threats. So I have the same threat that I started with, 8. I would make 3 progress, but I can't make progress. And now, the problem with potentially engaging these Goblin Prowlers is that I have to discard characters when I engage them. So I think, for the moment at least, I'll leave it. So, I defend against the Great Goblin with Frodo. Great Goblin discards dark passages. And I have to raise my threat by 3 for Frodo. And now I can attack for... Legolas is now 4 attack. Basically just 4 attack, because every enemy in the quest at this point is an orc. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11. 7 damage. Okay, and exhaust the one with healing to heal Pippin and Sam. Sam sometimes could end up defending, so good to be ready for that eventuality. Control N. Oh. Okay, I will discard that with my bow and hold on to the feint, which I will be using on the Great Goblin, I think. Though it means I still can't get the Spirit of the Citadel onto the Arnor Spearman yet. I will play the second Northern Tracker. And over here... I mean, the spear on the spearman is tempting. The thing is, obviously, it's not something that will stop working, but once I've killed the Great Goblin, the Goblin Prowlers will have minus 30 engagement cost, and I will no longer get to draw extra cards for engaging them, which I would quite like to do. On the other hand, well, how much is it going to take me to kill the Great Goblin now? 7 attack. So I might be able to engage a Goblin Prowler this round and kill it, at least. So, 8 threat in the staging area. Request for 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, 11. Maybe 13. And reveal Goblin Bent Swords. And grip up. Ah! This. This is the thing that I might have wanted to save Test of Will for. Though, whatever it was that I did cancel, Chaos in the Caverns was also a good choice. So, I have to return 2 goblins to the staging area from the discard pile. Now, the goblin runners are certainly the weakest. They also have a low engagement cost, so I would definitely have to engage them immediately. The bent swords are still fairly weak, and factoring in Pippin, I would not have to engage them, since their engagement cost at the moment would be 36. They're a bit more threat, but I think that would be okay. Well, we're up to 10, so 2 bent swords would bring it to a total of 14. I'm inclined to go with that. Oh, but then I would actually have to increase my threat because I would quest unsuccessfully. So I can't quite do that. But if we say 1 bent swords and 1 runners. Oh, I didn't look at the encounter deck in the discard pile, so I didn't really need to shuffle there. Never mind. So that has added 3 threat to the staging area, and I break even. Now, I do not need to engage the bent swords. I do need to engage the runners, and I can engage something else. Let's see, Glorfindel can kill the runners by himself. My 2 northern trackers could kill this damaged bent swords. I suppose that's the most efficient way of doing it. And still just leave the prowlers. So I will optionally engage the bent swords and draw a card for Pippin. Second Warden of Healing is very good to see. And that'll be it for engaging enemies. So I play a feint on the Great Goblin. Oh, actually, hang on. Yes, I could potentially get a bit more done here. Goblin Cleaver does not specify a non-unique enemy. So this deck will also engage the Goblin Prowler. Ready Sand, discard the Envoy Pelargir. So in fact, I'm actually going to feint the Prowler, which has this shadow card. And I'm going to play Goblin Cleaver, exhausting the Blade of Gondolin, to deal 3 damage to the Great Goblin. Which is killed and added to the victory display. Now, Frodo defends against the bent swords. When the player exhausts 1 character he controls. Okay, well, this can still work, more or less. Or I could exhaust my Warden of Healing and accept that I'm just going to keep all the damage around. But Frodo takes no damage from that because with Hobbit Cloak and Armor he's defending for 5. This one he's only defending for 3. Deal damage on characters he controls equal to the number of goblin enemies engaged with him. 1, 2. And I feinted this guy so he does not attack. Now, Glorfindel can kill this. The Northern Trackers can kill this. Legolas, with a little bit of help, can kill this and put 3 progress on the quest. Between his own ability and the Blade of Gondolin. Bilbo crosses the table, Control N, extra resource from resourceful, Okay. King of the Mountain. Hammer, Blade of Gondolin. Yeah, this is my last Hammer. But the Blades of Gondolin just get me through the quest faster, which is quite useful. Yeah, I'll discard the Blade of Gondolin, because I'm definitely not going to be playing it at this point, because I'm playing the Spear of the Citadel onto this Gondorian Spearman. And I suppose I may as well also play Gandalf. And drop my threat again. What are the chances that this deep knowledge would draw me some more threat reduction? Not unreasonable. I suppose at this point I think I'm over the engagement cost of everything regardless, so we'll do it. Light of Arnor finally turned up. Okay, Dagger of Westerness. Daeron's Runes, draw 2. Discard Asphalloth. Play my second Warden of Healing and play Light of Valinor. Finally. I haven't lost any of those, have I? It's just taken this long to find the first copy. 3 copies of Light of Valinor and they were all in the bottom half of the deck. Okay, there is 6 threat in the staging area. So I can quest now for 1, 4, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 16, do I need Gandalf for combat? I mean, well, if I quest a victory, then I definitely don't. 17, 18, it will be 22. No, I'm not. I don't think I'm going to be completing the quest this round, although with, with Legolas, I suppose it's possible. But it's still maybe, I think, better safe than sorry. I'll hold back Gandalf. Just go for 18 against 6. Reveal Goblin Bensword. If the Great Goblin is in the victory display, this card gains Surge. Dark Passages. No, sorry, when revealed. Yeah, there are no locations in the staging area other than Dark Passages, so that does nothing. And then Goblin Runners. Surge. I think we just reshuffled the encounter deck. We did just reshuffle the encounter deck, so there are no goblin enemies in the discard pile to return to the staging area. So I've just had 2, 6, 7 threat. I make 5 progress. Don't need to travel to Dark Passages. I do need to engage all of these enemies. So, yes, yeah, the engagement cost of these bent swords is 35 because Bilbo is over here rather than over here with Pippin. So I definitely want the Prowler to engage this deck because I can discard Arwen as I have a spare in my hand. I'm going to exhaust Asphalt to put 2 progress on Dark Passages, which I will not be travelling to. Other than that, I don't know that it matters. I suppose it just comes down to distribution of attack power. Legolas and Glorfindel are both ranged. Frodo is a sentinel. I mean, if I just allowed engagements to fall out naturally... Oh, the bent swords will not naturally engage this deck. So... my optional bent swords. Ready, Sam. Then natural engagements would, I think, go like this. Which is fine by me. I discard Arwen. Do that. Shadow cards. So. Yeah, this is great. So Gandalf will defend this. Like enemies return to the staging area after its attack results. Well, that's annoying. Frodo will defend this. Defending player raises his threat by X. Okay, so that shadow effect has been slightly nerfed by the other shadow effect returning this to the staging area. Frodo will defend this. That's fine. Spearman defends this and kills it. So I guess now I can just massively overkill the runners, but 3 progress on the quest. And I can also overkill these bent swords and do some healing. Let's go Pippin, Bilbo, and Glorfindel twice. Discard this shadow card. Gandalf is discarded at the end of the round. Control N. And Bilbo is back over here. And King Under the Mountain. Discard the Hobbit Cloak. It's really kind of useless at this point with what's happened to my threats. Next resource from Resourceful. Play Arwen. And I guess I'll put this final fast hitch onto Frodo. Nice. I'll definitely play the fast hitch. I suppose I could put it on Sam, give him the Dagger of Westerness. It doesn't matter that much. Playing this Envoy of Pelagier, adding a resource to Legolas. So actually, at that point I think I'll then be playing Defender of Ramas. And so the fast hitch may as well still go on Frodo. 6th threat in the staging area. Rest for 1, 3, 5, 8, 10, 11, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, and we reveal. Okay. After each return a goblin from the discard pile. So I'll just take the lowest threat goblins. And Goblin Driver will reveal the first player exhausts a character he controls. Oh, 3, 5, 6 additional threat added to the staging area. I will play Hands Upon the Bow. Oh, I totally forgot to trigger Foe Hammer last round. I guess the Goblin Driver is the highest threat. I will remember to trigger Foe Hammer and draw these 3 cards that I don't need. And put 3 progress on the quest. I am making considerably more progress than I need. Let's exhaust both my wands of healing. Healing 1, 2, 3, 4. And I make 14 progress out of the 6 that I needed. And there we have it. Definitely a lot better than the other 2 quests in the first Hobbit box. Honestly, I mean, I've had trouble in the past with the second stage, and it definitely has the potential to get ridiculous with well, of course, the Great Goblin swarms goblins. Chaos in the Cavern means lots of staging area threat from goblins. Grip, Grab, Pinch, Nab brings back the goblins that you already killed. If you ever travel to the goblins' caves, it's a problem. So perhaps it is... Yeah, I think it would be fair to say that the second half of the quest can be really bad if you're not prepared for it. I was obviously specifically prepared for it with direct damage effects and location control, so that I would never have to go to some of the nasty locations. The first part of the quest I just find horrible regardless. So, whereas the second half is actually... It can be horrible, but it tends to be horrible in an interesting way. So, my opinion on this has actually mellowed a bit. I kind of like half of this quest. Of course, it's the second half, and I have to get past the first half in order to reach the bit that I actually can enjoy. Regardless, this went quite well. I mean, some oddities, like not drawing Light of Valinor for most of the game. It would have been nice to get a second resourceful before I left Secrecy, but the chances of that weren't necessarily too high, and I managed anyway. All in all, pretty reasonable game, allowing for many resets at the start, where, as I said, I really don't like the start of the quest. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Goodbye.